1940s. The 1940s was a decade of war, innovation, and major social change. The U.S. was just emerging from the Great Depression, one of the worst economic crises in U.S. history. Though President Roosevelt's New Deal had helped stabilize the economy, the nation still faced high unemployment and uncertainty. But everything would change in 1941 when a surprise attack from Japan would force the U.S. into World War II. This changed America's role in the world and the daily lives of millions. World War II. World War II defined the early 1940s. The war started in Europe and Asia in the late 1930s due to Germany invading Europe and Japan invading China. The U.S. did not get involved until December 7, 1941, which, as President Roosevelt said, is a day that will live in infamy since Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in a surprise attack. American forces went and fought in major campaigns like D-Day, the Battle of Bulge, and the island-hopping strategy in the Pacific. On the home front, Americans rallied to support the war through various methods. Rationing was an important method involving government control of the distribution of scarce goods and services to prevent shortages and maintain fairness. You could also buy war bonds and directly contribute to the war.
Oh, yeah.
The government also encouraged people to grow their own food to supplement rations and boost morale. Victory gardens were vegetable, fruit, and herb gardens planted in private yards, public parks, and other spaces to help with war effort. With many men overseas, women entered the workforce in massive numbers. This was represented by the cultural icon Rosie the Riveter. The war effort truly mobilized the entire nation. The Manhattan Project and the atomic bomb. In 1942, Executive Order 9066 went into effect. This order authorized the internment of over 110,000 Japanese Americans during the war. This was a controversial and painful part of U.S. history. This led to civil rights activism growing. While the war was going on, something secret was happening in laboratories across the U.S. Scientists across the U.S. began developing the first atomic bomb in 1942 in a top-secret program called the Manhattan Project. Tragically, though, President Roosevelt wasn't able to see the project through as he passed away on April 12, 1945. This left Harry S. Truman to take over and face the enormous responsibility of ending the war. By July 1945, the first successful test explosion took place in the New Mexico desert. Just weeks later, in August, 2 atomic bombs were dropped, one on Nagasaki and another on Hiroshima. These bombings forced Japan's surrender and made America a world superpower, effectively ending World War II and launching the world into the nuclear age. Politics and global shifts. With the war ending, the political landscape began to shift, and President Harry S. Truman was left with shaping the post-war world. In 1947, President Truman announced the Truman Doctrine, pledging to stop the spread of communism.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
This was one of the first major steps in what would become the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. World War II pushed technology forward in many ways. The ENIAC, the first general-purpose computer, was completed in 1946, laying the foundation for the digital age. Penicillin became mass-produced during the war, saving thousands of lives. Other wartime innovations like jet engines, the radar, and the sonar also advanced rapidly. Culture and entertainment. Even during the war, Americans found time for music, movies, and fun. The golden age of Hollywood brought legendary films like Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, and It's a Wonderful Life. These movies helped lift spirits and reflect the values of time. In music, big band and swing ruled the airwaves with groovy artists like Glenn Miller and Duke Ellington. The USO also played a major role, organizing shows to entertain troops overseas. Fashion also changed so much that it might flip your wig, as women wore victory rolls that looked pretty swell in their hair and shoulder-padded dresses, combining practicality with style. Bikinis were also invented in 1964 due to the use of less fabric, since women's swimwear was often long and full, covering most of the body. There was also the rise of comic books, including superheroes like Captain America, who literally fought Nazis. The 1940s was a decade of growth, from the horrors of global war to the beginnings of a peaceful, prosperous future.